Walk cycles are very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things, getting body mechanics and walk cycles to occur. I've never really animated one that I liked, to be totally honest with you. It's something that is just really hard. It's something we see every day. And so we can really tell when it looks weird. This sort of involves all of the 12 principles. Walk cycles is not really one specific principle that we're looking at. It's you need to know good timing and spacing. You need to know good posing to make sure the weight's looking correct, follow through overlap, all that stuff. So there's no particular principle that we're talking about today. Walk cycles sort of incorporate everything in a lot of ways. So again, walking is the way that most people and animals locomote or move around. And so understanding the mechanics of walking is very important as an animator. People are lazy, and walking is a really efficient and low effort way for bipeds. So animals, beings that are on 2 feet. So people, it's a really low effort way for people to move. And they actually think that that's one of the, I mean, my understanding is that it's one of the reasons that scientists think that's why humans rose to be the dominant species on the planet, is because we could walk for a really long time. So it allowed us to spread, easily move around the globe. There are other animals that can do that, but yeah, anyways, it's just a really efficient way for us to move around. Contact pose. This is when the front heel contacts the ground when you're taking the steps. That's right when you're usually strike heel first in a walk. Again, that's like sort of the easiest way. If you try walking on your toes, it's a little bit harder. And so the contact pose where the heel contacts the ground, and then the next pose is the down pose. And this is where your hips are at their lowest. So if you think about taking a step and your hips drop a little bit, and your weight is transferring to this front foot here, and your hips are moving forward, the weight drops down. So that's the down pose. Then passing position. This is where your leg that's in the air is passing the leg that's planted. And so this is going to be straight or pretty much almost straight, and your hips start to come up. This leg is passing. And then you go into the up position where the hips are at their highest. So this is you're on the ball of your foot, of the foot that's planted. Your hips are at their highest position. This leg is swinging out to catch you. And then you go back to the contact pose on the other side. So this is just one step. You obviously repeat this with the other foot, and then that would be a complete walk cycle. So the weight goes down just after the contact, and the weight goes up just after the passing position. So contact, down, passing, up, contact, down, passing, up. Those are your 4 positions. The funny thing about walk timing is that this is from Animator Survival Kit. Back in the days of 2D, so if you like look at most people, they would, the animators would go out and it was before phones, and before you could easily scrub through video, and not everybody had a video camera in their pocket. So they would go out and they would use a stopwatch and time people and see like how long they would, here's a step, here's a step, here's a step, and they found that most people walked on the way that they phrase it is walking on 12. So every 12 frames is a step. So a full walk cycle would be 24 frames. So about a second between, 2 steps a second. Most people walk on 12s, but this was very annoying to do in 2D because a 12-frame walk cycle, these 4 poses happen every 3 frames. So frame 1 is going to be your contact. Then you go to your down pose, that's on frame 4. Passing position is on frame 7. Up position is on frame 10. And then 12, this is a 12-frame cycle. So 13 is where the cycle restarts for that step. But this was extremely annoying to do in 2D animation because you had, so normally you'd do an in-between here between frame 1 and 4, and you'd want to do it right in the middle. But because this is on every 3 frames, they had to in-between on thirds, and it was extremely annoying. So most of the time you'll see in old cartoons and stuff, they either do a walk on 16, so it's a little bit slower, or a walk on 8s, which is a little bit faster. But since we are not 2D animators, we get to do the nice timing and have this be on every 12 frames. So we are going to use this kind of timing. You guys don't really need to worry about learning these 2. This is the one we're going to use. So every 3 frames. So frame 1 is where you start, then frame 4, frame 7, frame 10, frame 13. Then you're going to repeat that again. So frame 25 is going to be where your first frame and frame 25 are going to be exactly the same pose. So like here's contact pose right here. We'll just start it here. Right, so contact pose right here, 3 frames. It's the down pose, right? So contact, down. So you can see the hips. That's a nice straight leg on that contact pose. That's going to be very important. You want a straight leg on that contact. Here, the hips drop a little bit. This leg bends. And this foot is still touching the ground, just barely. That toe is just starting to lift up. And we go 3 more frames. This is the passing position. This leg is straight or almost straight, and this knee is just starting to pass the leg that's on the ground, right? Up position, this leg is totally straight. His heel is lifted a little bit. You can kind of see, really starts to lift more there, but this is your up position. So this foot is swinging out. This is actually the part you can see, like when, you know, it's not unlike your bouncing ball sort of spacing, right? You want to track the spacing on this foot. It's moving the fastest when it's in the air, and then it's easing out and easing into its positions when it's on the ground, right? You can see it makes a nice arc like that. You can think there was a, you guys want to look at this type of spacing, right? So we're easing out of this position on the ground, faster spacing through here, through the middle, then we ease into that position on the ground for the contact here. Right, so this is the up position, and then back to the contact on the other side, right? What we're going to do here, and this is very important to make sure everything loops correctly, is we're going to key everything. So I'm going to select all my rig, hit an S on this front. You should have everything set on the first frame already, but just to be thorough, and hit S there. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go to frame 125, right? So this is where the cycle is going to loop. I'm going to set a key there. I'm going to paste. So it's going to send him back to the initial position, right? So this frame and this frame are now exactly the same. And so now what we're going to do is just take the hips and the feet and move them in translate Z only. Do not touch anything else because it should be a perfect copy. So we're going to select the body and the feet, and we're going to take this translate Z blue arrow. We're going to move it forward to roughly where you can just, you know, flip back and forth from your up position that you just animated into your copied key. And you're just going, you can zoom in on this foot super duper close to make sure we're not having any foot sliding. See how that foot sliding backwards there? We want to, and again, don't touch anything else except translate Z on these. We just want this to be perfect. Swing forward a little bit. You can zoom in really, really close to get this right. Right? We want that to be pretty much perfect. There we go. That's pretty good. So now, you should have a full walk cycle here where he steps. In 25, it should be back to where we were. And in the front view orthographic, you should not see a difference when you go between these two keys. He's gonna shoot forward in your side view, but 1 and 25 should look the exact same in your front view because it's copied exactly, and this has no Z data on there. So now, to get this to loop forever, you're going to select all of your keys. You should have everything keyed on frame 1. Again, everything keyed on frame 25, perfectly copied. And you're going to select everything, and you're going to go to curves, pre-infinity, cycle with offset, curves, post-infinity, cycle with offset. So you need to click pre-infinity and post-infinity, so cycle with offset. So what this is going to do is now he's going to walk forever.